Hello everyone and welcome to the first class of Contemporary Issues in Sport. Before I start talking about the syllabus and the outline and presentation, I would like to start with a first little task, which is simply getting to know each other. So I will start first, if you don't mind, with this short video. Hello everyone, this is Dr. Nicolas Larnier. I will be your professor this semester. You can call me Nico or Nicolas. Some students also like to call me Dr. L, or that is fine. So to introduce myself, I would like to say that first, I'm not from Buffalo, but you probably guessed that already. I am French. Second, regarding my academics, I have a master's degree in sports sciences. I also have an MBA in project management and tourism, and a PhD on management of sport tourism and sports in the great outdoors. Now, regarding my professional experience, I started as a phys ed teacher. It was a job that I liked, but I was looking for something else. So I left that position and I started working for the French government, for whom I became a researcher and a consultant. I started teaching at a French university, and I was an instructor at the university called Université du Littoral Côte d'Opale, which basically means University of the Littoral of the Opal Coast, which is the name of the coast in the north of France. I've been at Canisius since 2009, and I really enjoy it there. So I hope you enjoy it as well online, because it's such a great place, really. So aside from teaching, I also do research, and my specialization is in strategy and organization. So I just published a book about Conatus, C-O-N-A-T-U-S, and complexity of the organization. Unfortunately, it's only available in French for now. So I'm currently in the process of translating it, and hopefully it will be available in English soon. I'm also very interested in technology of information and communication, so I branched out a little bit recently, but I think that I will be able to connect strategy, organization, and technology of communication soon. Now, regarding my hobbies, I am a tennis player and a former decathlete. I train with actually one of the best decathletes in the world, Romain Barra is his name, a French decathlete, of course. He has been on the top 4 or 5 every year for the past 5 years now. Also, I do a lot of traveling, and I enjoy tourism in general. With my background, you probably guessed that also. I like to manage sporting events and to organize conferences. I also like to be a part of different types of entertainment, and I'm notably involved in organizing movie festivals. If you missed some part of the dialogue and you want to read a little bit more about me, please read this slide. I also invite you to discover my professional page on Facebook and my profile on LinkedIn. Now your turn. For this class, I would like you to submit a paper with your name, your email, your degree, your significant professional experience, any type of position you would like to reach, or your career project, and any other relevant information that you would want to provide. Anything you would want to share, please write it in the paper and you will submit it to me. I will tell you how to do this later. And second, I would like you to record an oral presentation of yourself. I want you to present only what you are comfortable discussing, since this data will be available for other students to view. But I also want to mention that this first step toward your classmates is very important, as you will group work this semester. And it is also important because once you create this short video, you create a narrative about yourself, which could be used for personal branding purposes. So I really encourage you to do a good job on this one, because then you can put it on your resume right after, if you want. I left some reading regarding personal branding under Content Week 1 resources, and I really want you to look at it. Under this video, you will find a folder called Student Infos
it is a Dropbox, so I want you to attach your document and send it to me. In that folder, I will provide you with a little video to explain how to do that. And I want you to submit your oral presentation. So you will use a discussion forum called Present Yourself to do this. And once again, more information is provided in the discussion forum itself. Okay? And third piece, I would like you to take some time to get to know your classmates, because in this class you will have to work in groups. So please start right now to know one another. Don't hesitate to discuss on the discussion forum. I think it's a great way to know one another. Why study contemporary issues in sport? Why do we consider it to be important to study the issues in contemporary sport? To help you develop your vision. Maybe you've heard about the vision of the manager, for example regarding the CEO of Apple, Steve Jobs. Some people say Apple, before everything else, is the vision of Steve Jobs. If there is no Steve Jobs, Apple doesn't really exist. When Steve Jobs left his position at Apple a few years ago, the Apple stock value dropped dramatically, because a lot of people consider the vision of Steve Jobs to be the most important asset of the company. Without Steve Jobs, the company could not sustain itself for a long time. This is as important in the sport industry. So studying the contemporary issues in sport, it is trying to develop your vision as a manager. Now the question is, where does the vision of the manager come from? The first element of answer is, it comes from critical vision of the world. You have to think outside of the box. You can't deny the issues or underestimate potential benefits of the situation. You have to develop an accurate understanding of the situation and to look at things from different angles. For example, if you are at a football game and you think that the spectators are very violent, then you may wonder, maybe it's because of their social class, or maybe it's because football itself is a violent sport, or maybe it's because we don't want enough safety. You know, that's it. And we should reinforce safety, and so forth and so on. Okay? So by looking at things from different angles, you will try not to deny the issues. Violence in the stadium is a serious issue. It is one of safety. As a manager, you cannot underestimate it. And you have to confront different point of views and propose remedies. Now, where does the vision of the manager come from? Second element to answer this question, it comes from the capacity to think ahead, to foresee what the trends of the markets are, what will the market be in 10 years. You know, I have a very funny example about that. 10 years ago, a lot of companies, not only in sport, but in every field, a lot of companies were wondering, should we have a website? You know, think about it now. 10 years ago, it was a very crucial question. Should I be spending $5,000, $10,000 to develop a website and maintain it? I mean, really, now if you don't have a website, you have no exposure. And we all know that it's terrible in terms of marketing. So the people who started to create their websites 10 years ago or 5 years ago and have now updated their website 2, 3, 5 times or more, they now have a strategic advantage over companies who didn't create their website at the time. If you were one of these managers capable to foresee the impact of technology in the sport industry, chances are high that you would be ahead right now compared to some of your opponents. So let's be proactive. That's important. Now also, why study contemporary issues in sport? Because you need to have a vision and to transform the vision into action. As I wrote, you have to be a manager, not a philosopher, not a sociologist, okay? You have to be a manager, you have to be an administrator. So it's about the capacity to foresee and transform that vision into action. And you will see that in this course, with many exercises, we will try to think out of the box, and then we'll apply that vision to transform it in managerial proposal and managerial remedies. Now let's talk about the course objectives. The first objective is to understand a number of contemporary issues in sport. I will not tell you that we will talk about all the contemporary issues in sport. That would be ridiculous. However, we will during this class address many issues in sport. Issues regarding violence in sport, gender equity, ethnicity in sport, the impact of new technologies, the impact of sport on the environment also, and so forth and so on. Okay? Second objective, being able to examine, analyze, summarize, and discuss peer-reviewed articles in the related field. Why? Because you want to have a scientific background behind your decisions. You want to be a professional, not only somebody who knows the topic, who can talk about football in a bar, you know. So you want to take the big decisions, and when there are big decisions involved, you need serious background information behind it. Okay? So we will talk about peer-reviewed articles. I will ask you to examine and analyze those articles, and then to position yourself and to think critically and propose some managerial actions, okay? Some managerial remedies. Third objective, synthesize or organize one's knowledge regarding a specific topic. As I said before, what is your position regarding gender equity? That could be a question in a job interview, by the way. What is your position regarding gender equity? Regarding ethnicity equity? Regarding violence in the stadium? And so forth and so on. New technologies. What do you know about new technologies? Okay? Which new technology would you bring in your company? Which one are you able to use? Which technology do we need in this company, in that specific company? And should we train people to use these technologies? You will need to be able to address all these questions, and many more, by the way. So in this class, it is about being able to address this question. Maybe I will not give you enough answers. Then, I will try to give you some tracks to follow in order to extend your knowledge. And you as well, you will bring some complementary content to this course. Fourth objective, it's also about being able to defend, to question, to dispute a point of view regarding an issue in sport. You know, when you're talking about violence, about gender equity, about discrimination, it's never black and white. It's never easy, There are a lot of shades of gray. So we need to be able to address these issues, to discuss them in order to find better answers as an administrator. So what would be the best action to promote equal employment in your company? How should we manage our violent spectator without losing them? Should we implement a new internal communication system, and at what costs? And so forth and so on. Fifth objective, transform and broaden your managerial vision in a changing sports industry. I could give you more knowledge and ask you to think less, but I would not be helping you. Okay? So what you need to have is a background of information, and also build the opportunity to develop this background of information during your career. Okay? And you will see that we will work a lot with abstract and reaction to articles and to current events. Okay? And I really think that these exercises will help you to be able to create your own knowledge in the near future. The semester is basically divided into two parts. At first, we will study the benefits and the dark sides of sport, and by that I mean the social aspects of sports. And after, we will focus on the new trends which are changing the sport industry. So, about the grading scale on your right, there is nothing special there. An A is between 93 and 100%, an A minus is between 90 and 92%, etc. Nothing special, it's a very standard grading scale. I simply want to mention that 92.51 is considered an A minus, so is 92.8, so I don't round up grades. Now, regarding the assignments, well, that's pretty straightforward. We will have some activities. Their number and length will depend on current events, and well, I change some of them every semester. And you will also write a student journal. And be careful, this is not a diary, okay, where you write what you've done this week, who is your lover, or why your mother is wrong, always. Yeah, you'd be surprised by what I found sometimes. So, by saying so, I mean that I have very precise expectations of what should be in your journal and how it should be written. I expect a thorough examination of the course content, which will lead you to position yourself as a manager in the sport industry. So, as you can see, it counts for 60% of your overall grade. So you will need to look closely at the rubric before you submit your journal. You will see that the journals require a lot of work. Also, I encourage you to give a close look at the feedback which will come with a grade. Okay, they will help you with the remaining journals, as there are 6 journals to write. And so finally, you will have extra credit assignments. Once again, they will depend on current events in the sport industry. Now, regarding the expectations and requirement for the course, well, I really want you to participate actively in the forums for your own good. As you may imagine, the more involved you may be, the higher your grade will be. I also want you to check your emails at least 4 times a week, meaning once a day, 4 times a week at least. Of course, you can look at your emails 4 times in a day, but you still have to look at it every day or almost every day during the week. I also expect you to respect the code of academic integrity, of course. It is available on the Canisius website, and the syllabus provides you with more details. Of course, no plagiarism will be tolerated. I do not want to give you a grade of 0, but if there is any plagiarism, I will not hesitate to do so. Now, also regarding the expectations and requirement, I would like to tell you a little bit about the netiquette of this course. First off, think twice before posting in a discussion. Make sure that you are answering a question and that you are on the topic and not off topic. Reading thoroughly the directions also helps, by the way. Second, use computer courtesy. This means that you always have to be cautious and respectful of others at any time. Same thing as if you were face to face. And you can't insult people face to face. This is not considered respectful. Same thing online. This makes common sense, but prefer to remind you. Also, be brief online, but not too brief. I want some content. Usually for the discussion forums, an answer of 100 to 200 words is acceptable, except if I give you specific directions. If it is the case, stick to the directions provided in the discussion forum. Also, mind your font. If you write something in all caps, it means that you are angry or you are shooting at somebody. If you write something in bold, it means that it is important, etc. So don't put everything either in bold or in all caps, because for the reader it is not that interesting, so if it is not needed, just write simply. Of course, obey the copyright. I prefer to repeat it. Do not steal the intellectual property of others. And of course, think before posting. Post if you have something to say. Reply if you have something to say. If you have nothing, don't write anything. Wait a bit and think about it and then post. Otherwise, we have a lot of posts which can be useless. And again, since I grade the quality of your posts and of your replies, then you may get a lower grade. Okay, so think before posting. Also, I expect you to submit your assignments on time. This means that for tardiness, I will take 5 points off every day out of a 100-point base. To give you an example, you get 100, great, you did a good job. If you did a great job, but you were 5 days late, then 5 days time 5% equals minus 25%. Okay, so your final grade is 75%. An A becomes a C. So with that said, you need to know that I never give more than 25 points of penalty. So you can always submit. Of course, it's not recommended to be late too often, for the obvious reason that your overall average would suffer. Alright, thank you for your attention. That's all for now.